And a very good Friday morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Joe Benigno back with you again, the Oda Pain Podcast. Friday, March 21st, 2025. The Joe Benigno Oda Pain Podcast brought to you by the Hackensack Brewing Company, by You Need a Discount Tire, and, of course, by our good friends at Manscaped. Got a lot to get to today. I got a lot to say about the two teams that inhabit Madison Square Garden. We'll get to that in a second. We got to start with the March Madness. The NCAA tournament getting off in the full swing yesterday, 16 games, and really kind of a nondescript day. Obviously, St. John's doing what they had to do. They blew out Omaha, beat them by 30 points. The game was close early. And then St. John's, as we've seen them do really so many times this year, fall behind early in a close game early and then just wear everybody down and wound up winning by 30 against Omaha when all was said and done. And it really sets up an extremely juicy matchup tomorrow. And I don't know what time this game is. I hope it's at night tomorrow night. But how about this? St. John's, Arkansas, Pitino and Calipari. Arkansas knocking off Kansas yesterday, 79-72, to get to the round of 32. How great is that? Now, I got to say this, okay? And I'm not sure how many times Calipari and Pitino have squared off. I don't know the answer. I do know that all the way back in 1996, when Calipari was coaching UMass, the Marcus Camby team, and Pitino was coaching Kentucky, the team that he eventually would win the national championship that year. Remember, that was at the Meadowlands back in 1996, the old Brendan Byrne Arena. Remember, in the semifinals, Kentucky and Pitino knocked off Calipari and UMass. Now, I would think that they probably got together a few times over the years when Calipari was coaching Kentucky and Pitino was coaching Louisville. But nevertheless, should be a very, very interesting game. And I got to tell you this. If I was Calipari tomorrow against the Johnnies, I'd be wearing a white suit, right? I mean, come on. I don't know if Calipari has a white suit. I don't know. I mean, I'm watching yesterday. He did have a suit on. He didn't have a tie on. But at least he wasn't wearing his pajamas like a lot of these coaches are. If I'm Calipari tomorrow, I am rocking the white suit. I'm telling you right now. Wouldn't it be great if Rick would have? Well, Rick probably won't wear the white suit until the Final Four. I wouldn't. If I'm him, I wouldn't wear the white suit till the Final Four. But if I'm Calipari tomorrow going up against Pitino, I got the white suit on. I really do. So I'm looking forward to that game. Arkansas, great job by Calipari this year. He has really enjoyed this year. I guess it was time. All the pressure to win at Kentucky, I think after a while, there's only so much you can take, even though he was very successful there, won a national championship, bunch of Final Fours and all that. But how sweet it is tomorrow. The two Italians, Pitino and Calipari, in the second round of the NCAA tournament. I am pumped up for that game. Now, it really wasn't a great day yesterday. Most of the chalk won. There was a couple upsets. McNeese knocked off Clemson. What was that again? A 13? Was that in a 6-11 game? Was that what that was? That was a 5-12 game. McNeese wound up winning by 2 over Clemson out of the ACC. This is a game where McNeese, with about 7 minutes to go, was up by 22 and wound up hanging on and winning by 2 at the end of the game. The basket late by Clemson that cut it to 2 at the buzzer. But Clemson made a spirited run to get back in the game. But McNeese knocking off Clemson, so that's an upset. And the other upset was last night when Drake beat Missouri. And Missouri, of course, out of the SEC, had a couple of SEC teams go down yesterday. Georgia lost to Gonzaga. Gonzaga blew them out. Drake knocking off Missouri yesterday. That's an 11-6 game. So, but I guess those are the two upsets. Outside of that, pretty much the chalk won. Auburn won their game against Alabama State pretty easily. Game was close early. Really didn't matter. Houston, another one of the number 1 seeds, blew out. I don't even know who this was. SUIN, whatever the hell it is. What's the name? What was the name of that team? SIU Edwardsville. I guess that's Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, I guess. They won by like 40 points in that game, did Houston. So they move on. Here's the matchups for tomorrow. Auburn-Creighton. That should be a good game. Creighton knocking off Louisville, really beat them pretty bad, controlled the game throughout. That was the early game yesterday at 12:15. Good to see Creighton out of the Big East. They're a dangerous team. I believe Greg McDermott's team now has had 6 consecutive years of winning at least one game in the NCAA tournament. So terrific job for them. So Auburn Creighton tomorrow, that should be a real good game. Michigan held off UC San Diego. They'll play Texas A&M tomorrow out of the SEC. That's an interesting game. You got Drake and Texas Tech in another game tomorrow. That game's in Wichita. And then, of course, Arkansas and St. John's, as we mentioned, in Providence. Hopefully that game's at night. The other matchups tomorrow, Brigham Young, who beat VCU. They'll play Wisconsin, who knocked off Montana. I mentioned Houston. They're going to play Gonzaga. That's a pretty good game. Now, I believe Gonzaga's been to the Sweet 16, I don't know how many years in a row, and they got a chance to do it again here. They beat Georgia badly yesterday. So that's a dangerous game for the number 1 seed Houston tomorrow against Gonzaga. We mentioned McNeese winning their game. They'll play Purdue. Purdue went to the finals last year, of course, who eventually lost to UConn. They beat High Point yesterday. And then UCLA and Tennessee as well tomorrow. UCLA beat Utah State. Tennessee beat Wofford yesterday. So those are the games you got tomorrow in the round of 32. Some good games today. Duke plays Mount St. Mary's today. Duke should kill them at a number 1 seed. The early game today at 12:15, Mississippi State out of the SEC against Baylor out of the Big 12. That should be a pretty interesting game because Baylor, who won the national championship back in 2021, that should be a pretty interesting game tomorrow. Looking at today, I should say. Looking at some of the other games that kind of jump out at you. Illinois against Xavier. That should be an interesting game. Xavier won the play-in game against Texas. Xavier, of course, out of the Big East. That's kind of a sexy game going on later on today. Looking at some of the other matchups today, Ole Miss and North Carolina. Remember, North Carolina won the play-in game against San Diego State. Ole Miss is 6th seed out of the SEC. That game's at 4:05 today on TNT. That should be a pretty interesting game. Also, how about this one? And this is tonight at 7:35 on 7:25 at TBS in Cleveland. Marquette out of the Big East against New Mexico, and of course, New Mexico is coached by Pitino's son, Richard Pitino. You think Pitino? Remember, St. John's beat Marquette 3 times this year. You think maybe the Pitinos got together and had a little, lasagna or something, and we're talking about how to play Marquette? You think so? Do you think Rick was telling his son how to play the Golden Eagles of Marquette, who really should be the Warriors? But that's another story. But that's an interesting game tonight, 7:25. Let's just see any other games that jump out at me today. That's probably it. The other games are, Maryland, Grand Canyon, Memphis, Colorado State. Not exactly doing. Oh, I forgot UConn, Oklahoma. That's a good game. Of course, they bury it at 9:25 tonight on TNT in the 8-9 game. UConn, Oklahoma. That should be a pretty good game. UConn out of the Big East, of course, the 2-time defending national champions going up against Oklahoma. So there you go as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned. And I am very excited for St. John's, Arkansas tomorrow, Pitino and Calipari. And hopefully, like I said, I hope they put that game at night. I don't want to see that game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. Plus that'd be going up against the Rangers, or the Rangers are a disaster. And we'll get to that in a second. All right, let's talk about these 2 teams right now that, inhabit Madison Square Garden. The Knicks lost their 2nd straight game last night to Charlotte on the road. Remember, they lost the night before to San Antonio team that does not have Victor Wembanyama. And they lost badly to them. They lost badly to Charlotte last night. And I understand that Jalen Brunson is out. But let's be honest about this. Nobody has done anything but praise Leon Rose since he took over as the president, GM, whatever he is, of the Knicks, right? Nobody has done anything but praise him. But right now, this Knicks team, what are they, 43-26? I believe that's the number. They're on their way to a 2nd-round knockout. They really are. And who knows, they might even lose in the 1st round. I don't even know. But nobody's getting on the trade for Karl Anthony Towns. I'm going to get on it now. That trade, as I look back at it now, they traded a lot of toughness when they traded Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to Minnesota for the very, very soft Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, you could say whatever you want. Yeah, he could score a lot of points. He's a 7-footer that wants to stand outside and shoot three-point shots. That's what he is. He plays no defense whatsoever. He's softer than tissue paper. And I'm telling you right now, the Knicks made a big mistake with that trade. They really did. I look back at that trade now and I say, boy, you traded two guys that were blood and guts, down and dirty, tough as nails type players. And I know Randall was injured. I get it. Last year for a good part of the season. I get it. But I look back at that trade, and Randall's been playing well in Minnesota. I'm telling you right now, that was a mistake. And that, to me, is coming back to bite the Knicks. It really is. And I'm telling you, they're going out in the second round. They can't beat any good teams. We've been through this over and over. Now they can't even beat the bad teams. They can't even beat a crummy Charlotte team, a crummy San Antonio team without their best player. I mean, come on. And like I said, I know Brunson's out, but the Knicks should have enough that they should be able to beat teams like that. Their bench is terrible. You know, outside of Deuce McBride, I know Mitchell Robinson's back. I don't think he played last night. You know, outside of that, I mean, you know, they got nothing on the bench. They got outscored by like 60 points in these two games by the bench, by San Antonio and Charlotte's bench. They can't beat anybody good. They can't beat the Celtics. They can't beat Cleveland. They can't beat the Lakers. They can't beat Oklahoma City. They can't beat Golden State. And generally, they get blown out in all these games. I mean, they're not winning any NBA title. I'm telling you right now. So, you know, you Knicks, and I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm being realistic about this team. If you think this team is making some kind of a championship run this year, think again. You know. So we'll see what happens. They play Washington. When is that game? They play Washington. I think it's Sunday at the Garden that they play the Washington Wizards. They should be the Bullets, but of course, we can't have the Bullets. Why would we have that? You know, it's okay to burn Tesla dealerships down, but you know, God forbid we call Washington the Bullets, right? Can't do that. But whatever. I digress a little bit here, as I have to occasionally. But nevertheless. Where am I now? Yeah, they play Washington at the Garden. But this team, they're not going anywhere. Like I said, they'll probably have trouble getting out of the first round. They'll win their first round series, and then they're going to go down in the second round for the third year in a row. So you get ready for it, Knicks fans. And again, I blame Leon Rose. As great a job as he's done, you know, that trade to me is a mistake. You traded a lot of toughness away with Julius Randle and DiVincenzo. And remember, DiVincenzo, not only that, but a great three-point shooter, which, you know, the Knicks really lack coming off the bench. You know, McBride can shoot a little bit, but he's not as good as DiVincenzo and nowhere near as tough. That, to me, I look back at that trade now. That trade was a mistake. Like I said, Karl Anthony Towns couldn't be any softer than he is. Let's be honest about it. You know, as good a three-point shooter as he could be, he wouldn't be playing with the Ewing teams. He wouldn't be. I'm just telling you right now, he doesn't have the toughness to play for those teams, and he doesn't play any defense whatsoever. So there you go. As far as the Rangers are concerned, they stink. They lost their third straight game yesterday at home. They lose 4-3 yesterday to Toronto. Of course, John Tavares, the pajama boy, as the Islander fans call him, you know, because he had his Toronto Maple Leaf pajamas, couldn't wait to go back. He had 2 goals yesterday in that win at the Garden against the Rangers. And I'm telling you right now, I blame Drury. I do. Just like I blame Leon Rose for that trade. The big blame for the Rangers season, and they're not making the playoffs. You know, the Islanders beat Montreal yesterday in overtime. They're tied with the Rangers now, you know, with 72 points. They got a better chance of making the playoffs than the Rangers do. They're actually showing some life. The Rangers are going the other way. And I completely blame Drury. You know, you want to talk about firing Lavalette. You want to talk about let's trade everybody in there. Let's get rid of everybody. Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad. Let's dump the whole team. Keandre Miller. Let's get rid of why not? Trocheck. Dump them all. Why not? Right? The big problem with the Rangers is this general manager, Chris Drury. He screwed this team up from the jump. Even before the year started, he got rid of Barclay Goodrow, basically shipped them out to Siberia. He might as well have done that. The locker room was not happy with it. And then, after the Rangers get off to a decent start, I think they were 12-4 at one time this year, believe it or not, early in the season, Drury, you know, his brilliance comes out and says, basically everybody's up for be traded. We're ready to trade everybody. Trouba, who they eventually did trade, Kreider, let's trade everybody. We put them all on the chopping block. You think that helped the team? How do you think the team was affected when this GM, okay, who never even played for the Rangers, by the way, and actually was a villain against them, go back to that series with Buffalo all the way back in 2007. I don't want to get back to that, right? And this guy destroyed the team. You can't tell me that didn't kill the morale of his team. And then he's gone on and traded everybody. Got rid of Trouba. Couldn't wait to get rid of him. Got rid of Trouba. Got rid of Kakko. Got rid of Lindgren. Got rid of Vesey. You know, he wants to get rid of everybody. I think it's time to get rid of him. That's what the big problem is with this franchise. This team was in the Final Four last year, right? And unfortunately, it didn't work out. They lost to Florida in the semifinals. But you know what? I blame him. I blame Drury. And this team has shown me no reason to think that they're making the playoffs. Aren't you sick and tired of watching teams just camp out in front of Shesterkin? The defense has been terrible. You know, how many times have we watched the Rangers this year where they just can't get out of the zone, can't get the puck out? It's horrible. And eventually, you get killed by it, eventually. And the other thing is, whatever happened to the power play? Power play's been atrocious. The power play's been so bad that maybe the next time they get a penalty go their way, they should decline it. Maybe they should decline the freaking penalty, like it's the NFL. That's how bad it is. They're actually more dangerous shorthanded than they are at full strength or with a power play right now. What a disgrace. And again, I blame Drury and I blame Leon Rose. And I'm telling you right now, the Knicks are going to make the playoffs, and they'll get unceremoniously bounced in the second round for the third year in a row. The Rangers are not making the playoffs. And God knows how Drury is going to dismantle this team in the offseason. Get ready. Get ready, Ranger fans. I blame him completely. I really do. It's time to get a new general manager in here. You know, it really is amazing because they're going to probably keep him and fire Laviolette. I mean, every couple of years, the Rangers get rid of a coach. The Rangers coaching situation is worse than the Jets. Every 2 years, they got a new coach, right? Gerard Gallant, 2 years, he's out. Get rid of him, right? Alain Vigneault, he was there a couple of years, actually took him to the finals. Get rid of him. David Quinn, he was wonderful. Let's dump him after 2 years. It's unbelievable. And I didn't love Tortorella, but they couldn't wait to get rid of him either. I mean, every time you turn around, the Rangers have a new coach, right? It's worse than the Jets. It's worse than what the Giants have been, where they've been like in a coaching carousel for the last 4 years, right? Unbelievable. So the situation at Madison Square Garden right now is not great. You know, continue to have to take a small mortgage out to go see a game for the Knicks or the Rangers, anyway, please. I mean, you better be making big money if you want to go to one of those games. I can tell you right now. But anyway, so that's my state of the teams from Madison Square Garden. I'm completely disgusted with both of them. The Rangers play tomorrow afternoon. Who they play? Vancouver tomorrow afternoon. They will see if they can lose the entire 4-game homestand. That they've had here. Unbelievable, just terrible. There's nothing else you can say. Absolutely freaking terrible have been the Rangers. And I feel bad for Shesterkin. Shesterkin hasn't had as good a year as he had last year. And, of course, he's going to be the highest paid goalie of all time and all of that. But he has had very, very little help. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's get the sponsors in here. We'll start off with of course, the Hackensack Brewing Company. We're going to be April 4th. What is that, 2 weeks from today? I think it's 2 weeks from today. Right? That we will be doing the live podcast. John Jastrzemski will be joining me. Should be very interesting. As I said before, if St. John's, and I promise the great Chris and Baldwin this, if St. John's gets to the Final Four, because that's Final Four weekend as well, if St. John's gets there, and of course opening day at home for the Mets against the Blue Jays, their big rival, Toronto, if St. John's gets to the Final Four, Benigno will be rocking the white suit. Just want to let you know that. That's what I will be doing. And as I said, I hope Calipari's wearing white tomorrow. If I'm him, I would, hurry up and find that freaking white suit and get out there with it tomorrow against Pitino. How cool. That would be like when John Thompson rocked the Louis Carnesecca sweater all the way back in 1985, right? Remember that? How great was that, the sweater game? Didn't work out good for St. John's, but nevertheless, that would be tremendous tomorrow. If I'm John Calipari, I am rocking the white suit against Pitino. That would be phenomenal. It really, really would. But we'll see. But I will wear the white. If St. John's makes the Final Four, because I promised Chris and Baldwin, my good buddy, I will be wearing the white suit at the podcast. And you know the deal, located 10 minutes off the George Washington Bridge, less than 30 seconds off Route 4 in beautiful Who Needs a House out in Hackensack. Tap rooms open 4:30 to 10 Monday through Friday, 2 to 10 Saturday, 12 to 8 Sunday. Check out the Eau de Pain beer, 78 Johnson Avenue in Hackensack. See Mike Jones, see TJ, the whole mishpucha over there, and they will take care of you. We'll see you in 2 weeks at the live podcast, hopefully with Benigno wearing the white suit. We can only hope that that's what happens. Now, if you need any work done on your car, you need tires, you need brakes, whatever you need your car inspected, the place to go, Anita Discount Tires. See my son Johnny, see Ari, his great boss, love Ari. You know, Rob, who does a great job, one of the outstanding mechanics there, and they will take care of you. Tell them Benigno sent you. Really, whatever your automotive needs are, it's on Westwood Avenue in beautiful Rivervale, New Jersey. I think Rivervale's open now. I hear they opened yesterday. I think they opened yesterday. Not exactly great. You know, we did play Wednesday at Blue Hill. What a beautiful day that was. Like almost 70 degrees that day. Played well, too. I had my first birdie of the year. It's always a great day when I get a birdie. Don't get a lot of those, but nevertheless, I did. And actually, it's funny. On the back nine, which is the Woodlands part of Blue Hill, they actually have they have 3 nines there. One of them is closed now for repair to Lakeside. So they're only playing the 2 right now. But on the back nine at Woodlands, I actually started out par, birdie, and then went downhill from there. But nevertheless, you know, so at one point after 3 holes, I was one under par. How about that? I should have walked off at that point. I should have left, but nevertheless, but not exactly. Kind of windy. It looks nice out there. When you look outside today, like it looks like it's nice out there, but very windy and not exactly warm. It's going to get to be 50 is the high today, but whatever. So anyway, hopefully the weather changes for the good very, very soon. As long as you don't have any more snow, that's really the key. But check out Anita Discount Tire, Rivervale, New Jersey, on Westwood Avenue, and tell them Benigno sent you. And then, of course, our good friends at Manscaped got the NCAA tournament going on right now, March Madness, Manscaped Madness going on. Check it out. Got the whole deal going on. You know, you got the floor general delivering smooth moves like a perfect assist. You got the shooting guard, the chairman, slick and dynamic, gives you a face that shave that you want. The handyman, compact and clutch, quick for those critical moments. You got that. The power forward beard hedger. Oh, my God. You got it all, right? I mean, come on. You got the Ultra Lawnmower 5.0, which I love, which takes care of everything downstairs and gives you that illusion of extra inches, which God knows we all want, even if it's only an illusion. Every guy I know wants extra inches. Come on. If if you don't want extra inches, well, I don't know. Please. Anyway, check it out. Insert the code PAIN, which I have a lot of, PAIN, for 20% off and free shipping, and get ready to score big with Manscaped. Again, the code is PAIN for 20% off and free shipping. And don't forget, seriously, don't forget to get the Manscaped underwear. It's the best. I always wear it when I'm playing golf. It keeps your balls where they need to be. You don't want a ball hanging out when you're trying to hit the ball. I can tell you right now. Very disconcerting. So make sure you get the Manscaped underwear. I love them. And also the Manscaped shampoo and conditioner, which also doubles as a conditioner, body conditioner, body wash. So I use that too for that. Great. Love it. No doubt about it. Checked out Manscaped. Tell them Benigno sent you. It is absolutely the best. And again, for any of the Manscaped products, use the code PAIN for 20% off and free shipping, and get ready to score big with Manscaped. I love them. All right. Benigno, the Yoda Pain podcast. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't signed anywhere as far as I know. I guess Minnesota's out of the picture now. They're going to go with J.J. McCarthy. So it's down to the Giants and the Steelers. And, look, if I'm Rodgers, don't you got to go to Pittsburgh? I mean, if you want to win anything next year, don't you have to go to the Steelers? Now, if Rodgers does go to the Giants, he'll be sticking it right to the Jets, right? Who should have never let him go, as we all know. You know my feeling on that. But wouldn't that be something if he turns the Giants around, right? Wouldn't that be something? And isn't it amazing how it seems like none of the media in New York's got a problem with Rodgers going to the Giants? And why is it that the Giants don't have a problem with him going on the McAfee show, right? They don't have a problem with it. But the Jets, who have won so much over the last, half century, just been one of the dominant teams in the NFL, right? Pittsburgh, Kansas City, right? That kind of team, right? Philadelphia now, the defending champion, right? The Jets have just won so much that they can just let a Hall of Famer like Rodgers go. They can just let a Hall of Famer like Devontae Adams go because they're so good. Because Woody Johnson's done just such a freaking incredible job there, right? Mm-hmm. Let's hope Aaron Glenn. As I said before, Aaron, I pray that you're as good a coach as you are a player. And as I said, my advice to Glenn and Darren Muhi, however you say his name, the new GM, I hope you rented and didn't buy. I hope so. Now, opening day is coming up. I guess it's a week from yesterday, right? Opening day. Yankees will be home to Milwaukee. Mets will be in Houston to play the Astros. Carlos Rodon will be the opening day starter for the Yankees. Clay Holmes, the opening day starter for the Mets, which I don't completely, I mean, really, does it really matter who the opening day starter is with 162 games? It used to be a big deal. Now I don't, who cares, really, in the grand scheme of things. But Senga's looked pretty good in spring training. Shouldn't he be the opening day starter? I mean, to me, he should be. But what do I know? And here's something else, too, that kind of baffles me a little bit. Now, the Mets got a couple injuries. We all know the injury to Alvarez. He's going to be out. I guess Torrens is going to be the starting catcher on opening day. McNeil's out with that oblique. So Brett Beatty is going to be the opening day second baseman? Really? And not Acuna? Brett Beatty? Can he even play second base? I mean, I really? That doesn't make a lot of sense for me either. So, but the Met lineup is very top heavy. You got Lindor, you got Soto, you got Pete, you got Vientos, you got Nimmo. After that, it really starts to go down, I mean, who's playing? Who's starting? You're going to have Jose Siri in center field, right? Is Tyrone Taylor going to be playing? Is he playing in left? Is Nimmo going to be the DH? Or is Nimmo playing left? Is he going to? I think he's okay to play the outfield with Marte being the DH. Is that what we're doing here on opening day? I guess, right? We'll see. I don't understand. Brett Beatty playing second and not Acuna? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. But, there are a lot of things that makes absolutely no sense to me, So we'll see. I'm ready. I'm ready for baseball. I said this before about the Mets. The Mets could have a better regular season. They wound up winning, 89 games last year? The Mets could have a better regular season this year than last year and not get as far in the playoffs as they did, right? Not get to the NLCS because it's such a crapshoot in the playoffs in baseball. They could win 95, 96 games and get knocked out in the first round. So we'll see. I'm excited to see Soto. I think he's going to have a monster year. He's been fabulous in the spring. There's been no doubt about it. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited that Pete's back. Hopefully Pete has a big year now. I guess they're going to bat him third between Soto and Vientos. Hopefully Vientos has a big sophomore year, that there's no sophomore jinx for him. And, hopefully the injuries to McNeil and Alvarez, that they can get back sooner and then later. We'll see about Clay Holmes as a starter. We'll see how it all goes. David Peterson's looked good in the spring. Is he going to be as good as he was last year? Hopefully Senga can stay healthy. We go right on down the line. Hopefully Clay Holmes is a legitimate starter. Hopefully we can see Mania back sooner than later. Maybe it's hopefully only a month before we see him back. I guess the velocity for Diaz hasn't been great in spring training. I don't want to get crazy about that. I do think the bullpen's going to be pretty good. We'll see. But baseball, a week. I guess it actually started, right? The Dodgers played 2 games in Japan already against the Cubs, beat them both games. You know, so, I'm surprised the Dodgers don't move to Japan. Maybe they should be the Tokyo Dodgers. I don't know, but whatever. But that's the way it goes. But baseball, opening day next Thursday. Yankees, Milwaukee at home in the Bronx. Mets in Houston to play the Astros. Everybody enjoy the NCAA tournament today. Enjoy all the sports over the weekend. Have a great one. I'll check me out tomorrow. I'll be on from 10 to 1, of course, with my Saturday show on the Fan. Let's go St. John's. Hopefully they get it done tomorrow against Calipari in Arkansas and can get themselves to the Sweet 16. But everybody have a great weekend. And again, check me out tomorrow, 10 to 1 on the Fan. All the love, everybody. And as always, God bless the greatest country in the world, America.